Well, the allegations of assault against some players during the World Junior Hockey Championships and cover-ups to settle sexual assault and abuse claims have rocked hockey to its core.
Now, it's the latest developments that have put into question the overall culture that exists in hockey. And Evan Moore is a journalist and co-author of Game Misconduct, Hockey's Toxic Culture and How to Fix It. And Evan joins us here live on CB24 Breakfast this morning. Evan, I'm glad you're here to talk about such an important issue. So we got the World Juniors, starting this week in Edmonton. A really strange cloud hovering over the tournament based on what we understand has happened at past events here. What are your thoughts as we go into this week in terms of what do you think the fan mindset is going to be as we watch these games?
Well, thanks for having me. And it could be a couple things. One, some fans, unfortunately, won't care. They just want to see their hockey and make sure it's not taken away from them in any way, shape, or form. And then, some fans who are looking at it and looking at some of the folks in the sport who are some of the gatekeepers, whether it's players, management, parents, sports writers, and that effect. And they're looking at these folks like, hey, you have to do something about this. This is way out of hand, and there's so much going on, and you have all these awful things that are unfortunately tied to the sport.
And is that concerning, the fact that you mentioned some fans actually wouldn't really care? They're just focused on the sport itself. We've got allegations of assault, sexual assault, and of course discrimination, racism that we know takes place at all levels in the sport. This should be a concern for everyone.
Yeah, right. It should be. But unfortunately, sometimes what goes on with sports is all about, what happens on the ice and not what happens. It's only what happens on the ice instead of worrying about what happens on the ice and what players are doing on their off time. That some fans and some administrators, as we saw from the Chicago Blackhawks situation when they were told about what was going on with Kyle Beach, like during the Stanley Cup playoffs, and the coach Joe Quenneville, says, "Well, we got games to play," and you're just like, "Well, you can actually, get rid of this video coach and still play the sport, So you added some folks who prioritize winning and prioritize moving on to the next round instead of prioritizing something awful that happened on your team."
So, Evan, the final part of the title of your book is How to Fix It. So what's your remedy? How do you fix the sport, the game, the sort of attitudes that have been prevailing for so long?
Well, in the book, we provide a bunch of resources, but also, it's something we tend not to do in the current, political discourse, whether it's here in the States or up north with you all, where, you want folks to listen. That's pretty much, I know it sounds simple, but it's kind of revolutionary too, where you have to listen to folks when someone alerts you that something is going on. You should listen to them and show some empathy, but also at the same time, there's a culture that's embedded where these folks believe that, hey, if I say something, is it worth me re-traumatizing myself or having all these want to protect systems? In this case, at Hockey Canada, is it worth me all the blowback I get for taking away time to talk about this, when they probably will just want to focus on the sport itself.
Yeah. Well, the book is called Game Misconduct. Author Evan Moore, we thank you so much for joining us. And obviously, this conversation will keep continuing as more and more people focus in on the hockey culture. But thanks again for joining us this morning.
Thanks, I appreciate you.
All right. Thank you, Kyle.